So I basically wanted to understand from you a little bit about the investor's perspective when they're evaluating startups.
So, like I mentioned earlier, we follow fairly strictly the persistent framework. Okay? And we've been doing that for about 2-3 years now, and it's worked very well for us. And within that, obviously, everything is important. Scalability is very important because there are many guys who don't have scalable businesses. Entry barrier is extremely important. A lot of people, a lot of founders believe ये बॉस कोई कॉपी नहीं कर सकता है. It's so easy to copy, isn't it? Somebody else can pick up the same idea and just do it faster than you, and maybe has more money, scale faster than you. Entry barrier is very important. Scalability is very important. But I think at early stages, by far the most important is the founders, the team of founders. And maybe I'll share a couple of examples. See, we've realized a couple of things. Because at early stages, frankly, you have no clue what direction the business will take. You have no clue. Every founder, I must tell you, is a master at Excel. Master. And अगर वो MBA है तो मतलब वो हिंदी इंग्लिश नहीं बोलेगा, वो एक्सेल बोलेगा. PPT और एक्सेल बस, ठीक है ना? By the way, I've been teaching MBA students, so I know all this for the past 20 years. You can make whatever projections you want. Ultimately, those are projections. You have no clue whether it's going to succeed or not. Very, very simple example. The founder of Zomato, who, by the way, will figure in my next book, Dipinder, I had a chat with him, and he says when we started, which is about 13, 14 years ago, he says we were only a listing site. And he says we had publicly made a statement saying we are not getting into deliveries. He says, ab dekho. We are only into deliveries, nothing else, right? Forget listing. Correct? So you have no idea what will actually work out. You have no idea what the market will accept till you actually hit the market and you keep trying multiple things. Which means going by the business is an issue because you don't know whether that business will survive or not. But if you have the right founder, he will figure out a way. If this doesn't work, I'll try this. If this doesn't work, I'll try this. This doesn't work, I'll try this, and so on. Okay. I'll give you a couple of things that we look for in founders. One is we look for, I think the biggest thing we look for is passion. Passion, he is not just in the game to make money and exit in 3 years. That kind of founder, boss, we will never invest in if we come to know. If he's a wonderful actor and he hides this, he's fooled us. Right? But the guy has to be, when I say guy, I include girls. Founder can be a girl as well. So the guy has to be passionate about what he's trying to do. Reason being very simple. If you are passionate, see, you will have lots of ups and downs. Okay? Last 2 years has been a down for many founders, COVID, correct? Before that, you had demonetization, which was a down for many founders. A few years before that, you have a global financial crisis, again a down for many founders. So you'll have all kinds of issues. RBI changes rules. So the point is there'll always be ups and downs, more downs than ups. If you're not passionate about what you're doing, boss, you're finished. You will not be able to survive those downs. And then all you should do is, whichever city you live in, identify a nice river over there and say, ठीक है, मैं यहाँ से jump करूँगा. और कोई solution नहीं है. Boss, you have to be passionate. So we look for passion. The other thing we look for is flexibility. Not only passion, but flexibility to imbibe new ideas, to listen, and therefore to change direction if required. And I'll share an example. The third thing we look for is you have to be very, very knowledgeable about your business. Okay? You can't have a guy who's superficial who says, boss, वो मेरे मैनेजर को पता है, मेरे को नहीं पता. भाई साहब, वो आपका धंधा है. मैनेजर का धंधा नहीं है. मैनेजर कल को he gets 20% extra, he quits. It is your business. You have to know it like the back of your hand. And one of the advantages we guys have as investors is whenever a founder is making a pitch to us, right? We typically have maybe 60, 70, sometimes more than that, investors from different backgrounds listening in. And you'll always have some investors, maybe more than one, maybe 3, 4, who come from a background which is similar to that of the founder who's making a pitch. Now, in front of him, you cannot say, firstly, you can't fool him. You fool him, that's the end of your credibility, that's the end of your money. Secondly, you can't keep saying, I don't know, I don't know. You're not supposed to know everything, but you have to be knowledgeable about your business. I'll give you a very simple example. In fact, that's, I think, probably the most successful startup I have invested in personally. It is called Planet Spark.
The
It's
EdTech company.
EdTech company. It's founded by two young guys, very tall guys from XLR.
Accelerate.
Yeah. And I've had lots of samosa chai discussions at the MDI campus with these guys. Very good guys, bright guys. They started with um trying to digitize and formalize and standardize ट्यूशन सेंटर्स. ठीक है, तो ट्यूशन सेंटर्स में क्या होता है, वो बच्चा ट्यूशन के लिए गया एंड इट्स अ लेडी और अ मैन और whoever, इट्स अ लेडी, वो प्रेशर कुकर की सीटी बजी, शी रन्स इनटू द किचन, सडनली फोन बज गया, ओके, or the maid is having a fight with the driver, shouting loudly, and the poor guy is trying to concentrate, he can't concentrate, right? It's a very troublesome environment. So they said, okay, we will they actually tied up with Oyo rooms, and they said, okay, we'll take a room in each of their properties which are in residential areas. And they started in Gurgaon. I think they had some 80 properties. Usme they had a lot of content, and digital content as well as physical content. They had a workbook and they had a mentor, and kids used to come, learn on laptops and so on. It was working well. फिर क्या हुआ भाई साहब, आपको पता है ना 25 मार्च 2020 को क्या हुआ, सबको पता है ना? वो हमारा बेबी वायरस आ गया, ठीक है, लॉकडाउन. Now, even if they weren't a lockdown, parents were scared of sending their kids, so that model collapsed. ठीक है, अब two choices. One is the founder can say मर गया, and all I can do is watch Netflix on TV or play video games, right? No, these guys were fighters. So that's one more thing we look for, fighters. They said, okay, we'll change the business model. Everything shifted online. So exactly the same model, but it was working online. So पढ़ रहे थे, I think it was maths and English, if I remember right. But then they realized they were competing with whom? Mr. Baiju Ravindran and his wife. There is no way you can compete with a giant, right? A monster. Okay, these were small guys. So these guys realized, nahi boss, we can't compete head on. So let us look at extracurricular stuff. So they went into art, painting, music, dance, yoga, robotics, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह. कुछ जेल नहीं किया. So just look at what's been happening. They have been pivoting repeatedly. Finally, they pivoted to public speaking for children and creative writing. Okay, suddenly that became a hit, because every parent says मेरा बच्चा स्कूल जा रहा है, I want him to get good marks, but equally important, the kid should be confident of facing people, facing a crowd, facing unknown guys, strangers, वगैरह वगैरह, facing an interview board. So public speaking became a huge hit, and these guys have been able to raise, I think, in 3.5 years, 4 rounds, and their valuation has gone up, I think, 150 times in 3.5 years. Right? So remarkable, absolutely remarkable. And I think the key is these guys were dogged, they were passionate. Boss, हमने बच्चों के लिए ही करना है learning में, but they were also flexible enough to keep pivoting, and they were fighters. And today it's a market leader in India and abroad as well. Well, abroad it may not be a market leader, but in India, if you Google public speaking for kids, you'll probably see this, not the ad, I'm saying you'll see this as part of SEO, either at number 1 or number 2. So, at an early stage, the biggest thing we look for is the founder or founders.